He cheated on me. Before we even dated, Liam and I were practically sickeningly cute. A year in, and I still got butterflies when he smiled at me. Chloe, my best friend since kindergarten, joked that we were setting unrealistic expectations for everyone else. We had the same friend group, loved hiking on weekends, and even somehow managed to agree on pizza toppings. I, Amelia, 28, working in marketing, finally felt like I'd found my person. Liam, 29, sharp and ambitious in the finance world, was everything I thought I wanted. We were at Sarah and Ben's engagement party, a sprawling backyard barbecue filled with our usual crowd. I was grabbing a drink when I overheard Mark, Liam's best friend, talking to Ben near the keg. Mark, a guy who always seemed to have a smirk playing on his lips, even when he wasn't trying to be funny. Liam was really enjoying his freedom before Amelia came along. Mark chuckled, nudging Ben, sowing his wild oats, you know. Good thing he settled down, he was starting to scare us. Ben laughed, but I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Lucky guy, Ben said. Found himself a good one. I tried to shake it off. It was probably just guy talk, right? Liam had always been a bit of a player before me, I knew that much. But the phrase before Amelia came along echoed in my head. We'd met at a work conference, hit it off instantly, and he'd asked me to be his girlfriend maybe 3 weeks later. 3 weeks it felt like a whirlwind, but a beautiful one. Later that night, as Liam drove me home, I brought it up casually. Mark said something funny at the party today, I started, trying to keep my voice light. He said you were sowing your wild oats right before we started dating. Liam glanced at me, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. Oh, Mark, he said, rolling his eyes. He's just being an idiot. Don't listen to him. I was single, Amelia. What did you expect me to do, become a monk? No, of course not, I replied, but the knot in my stomach tightened again. It just sounded like it before. He reached over and squeezed my hand. Honey, I was completely single. I might have, gone on a few dates, but nothing serious. You're the one who changed everything. He leaned in to kiss me. Don't let Mark's dumb jokes get to you. I wanted to believe him. I really did, but something felt off. The next day, I met Chloe for coffee. She's a therapist, so she's basically my human lie detector and emotional support system rolled into one. He said he was single, but Mark's comment just felt weird, I explained, stirring my latte. Like there was something he wasn't telling me. Chloe listened patiently, her brow furrowed in concern. Amelia, I know you trust him, and that's great, but trust your gut too. If something feels off, it's worth looking into. But how? I asked, feeling helpless. It's not like I can hire a private investigator. Chloe smiled wryly. You're resourceful. Just ask around. Subtly. See if you can piece together the timeline. Maybe Mark wasn't just joking. So I started subtly interrogating our friends. I'd bring up Liam's single days in conversation, trying to gauge their reactions. Most people just shrugged it off, saying things like, yeah, he was always out and about, or he seemed pretty happy to be single. But then, Sarah, no, not that Sarah, a mutual friend who worked with Liam at the finance firm, mentioned something interesting. Oh, before you guys got together, Liam was a regular at the Velvet Lounge, she said, taking a sip of her wine. He was always flirting with the bartender there. Really cute girl, dark hair, can't remember her name. The Velvet Lounge. I'd been there once or twice with Liam, it was a popular spot downtown. And a dark-haired bartender, my heart skipped a beat. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of Liam flirting with a dark-haired bartender kept flashing in my mind. I tossed and turned, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with him, searching for clues I might have missed. The next day, armed with a vague description and a pounding headache, I decided to pay the Velvet Lounge a visit. It was a weeknight, so the bar wasn't too crowded. I sat down at the bar and ordered a glass of wine, trying to look casual. Hey there, a friendly voice said. I looked up and saw her, dark hair, sparkling eyes, and a warm smile. It had to be her. What can I get for you? Just the wine is fine, thanks, I said, my voice a little shaky. I was actually wondering, I'm looking for someone. A friend of mine used to come here a lot. Oh yeah? She said, wiping down the counter. We get a lot of regulars. His name is Liam, I said, holding my breath. Her eyes widened slightly. Liam, sure, I remember Liam. He was a sweetheart. Always knew how to make me laugh. I tried to keep my expression neutral. He's actually my boyfriend, I said, matter-of-factly. Her smile faltered for a second, then she recovered quickly. Oh, wow. Congrats, he's a great guy. Yeah, he is, I said, forcing a smile. I was just curious. How long ago was he coming in here? She shrugged. Oh, I don't know, maybe a year ago, before he met you, I guess, right before, I pressed. She paused, thinking. Actually, yeah, it was like right before. He stopped coming in pretty suddenly. Guess he got himself a girlfriend, she said, winking. I decided to be bold. So did you ever, go out with him? She hesitated, then sighed. Look, I don't want to cause any trouble, but yeah, we went out a couple of times, nothing serious, just drinks and stuff. We even ended up back at my place one night, but that was it. He stopped calling after that. The room started to spin. One night, I managed to choke out, like slept together, her face flushed. Yes, she whispered. Look, I didn't know he was seeing anyone else, I swear. He was a really nice guy and I thought it was something. I stood up abruptly, knocking over my wine glass. Red liquid splattered across the bar. I have to go, I stammered, grabbing my purse. I ran out of the bar, tears streaming down my face. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. He'd slept with her. Days before he asked me to be his girlfriend. I didn't go home that night. I went straight to Chloe's apartment, sobbing uncontrollably on her couch. He cheated on me. I cried over and over again. He cheated on me before we were even official, but it still feels like cheating. Chloe held me tight, stroking my hair. Oh, honey, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I spent the next few days in a daze, barely eating or sleeping. I replayed the conversation with Sarah over and over in my head, each time feeling the betrayal more acutely. How could he do this to me? How could he lie to me so easily? I avoided Liam's calls and texts. I couldn't even bear to look at him. Finally, after 3 days of silence, he showed up at my apartment looking worried and confused. Amelia, what's going on? He asked, his voice laced with concern. Why haven't you been answering my calls? I'm worried about you. I stared at him, my eyes burning with anger. Don't you dare act like you care, I spat. I know everything, Liam. I know about Sarah. I know about the Velvet Lounge. I know that you slept with her days before you asked me to be your girlfriend. His face paled. Amelia, I don't even try to deny it, I interrupted. I spoke to her. She told me everything. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Okay, fine, he said, his voice low. It happened. But it wasn't a big deal. We weren't even dating yet. That's the point, Liam, I screamed. You let me believe that you were single and ready to commit. You let me fall in love with you based on a lie. It doesn't matter if we weren't official yet. You knew what you were doing. You manipulated me. He stepped closer, reaching for my hand. Amelia, please, he begged. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. But I love you. I would never do anything to hurt you intentionally. I recoiled from his touch. Don't touch me, I said, my voice trembling. I don't believe you. I don't think you're capable of loving anyone but yourself. That's not true, he protested. Then why did you lie to me? I challenged. Why didn't you tell me the truth? He hesitated, then said, I was afraid. I was afraid that you wouldn't want to be with me if you knew. You were right, I said coldly. I don't want to be with you. I'm done. I slammed the door in his face, collapsing against it, sobbing. But I wasn't just crying because I was heartbroken. I was crying because I felt like a fool. I had trusted him completely, and he had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I decided that everyone needed to know who he really was. We had a group dinner planned with all our friends that weekend. It was supposed to be a celebration of our anniversary, but I had other plans. When Liam arrived, looking sheepish and contrite, I let him in. The rest of our friends were already there, chatting and laughing. So, what are we celebrating? Ben asked, raising his glass. I took a deep breath and stood up. Actually, I said, my voice ringing through the room, I have an announcement to make. Everyone turned to look at me, their faces filled with anticipation. Liam and I are breaking up, I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. A gasp rippled through the room. What? Chloe exclaimed, her eyes wide with shock. It's true, I said. I found out that Liam cheated on me. Liam's face flushed crimson. Amelia, please don't do this, he pleaded. I'm not finished, I said, ignoring him. He slept with a woman named Sarah days before he asked me to be his girlfriend. He lied to me about it, and he tried to manipulate me into thinking it wasn't a big deal. The room fell silent. Everyone was staring at Liam, their faces filled with disbelief and disgust. Is this true, Liam? Sarah, yes, the one married to Ben asked, her voice laced with anger. Liam hung his head in shame. It's complicated, he mumbled. No, it's not, I said. It's simple. He's a liar and a cheater, and I'm not going to stand for it. I looked around the room, meeting each of my friends' eyes. I deserve better than that, I said, and so do all of you. I turned and walked out of the apartment, leaving Liam standing there, surrounded by the wreckage of his lies. The aftermath was messy. Some of our friends took Liam's side, arguing that it wasn't technically cheating since we weren't official yet. Others were horrified by his behavior and completely cut him off. Mark, unsurprisingly, tried to play both sides, but I made it clear that I wanted nothing to do with him. Sarah, the bartender, actually reached out to me, apologizing profusely for her role in the situation. She said she had no idea that Liam was seeing anyone else and that she felt terrible about what had happened. I appreciated her sincerity, and while I couldn't forgive her completely, I didn't hold her responsible for Liam's actions. Liam, of course, tried everything to win me back. He sent countless texts, left tearful voicemails, and even showed up at my work, begging for forgiveness. But I refused to see him. I knew that if I gave him an inch, he would take a mile. He was relentless, and I wanted to make it stop. I knew he was up for promotion, something he had been working towards for a very long time, so I did a little digging. I called a friend of mine, someone high up in the company, and let them know about Liam's infidelity. I didn't go into specifics, but I made it clear that he was dishonest and manipulative. I knew that it could damage his chances, and I was okay with that. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't mature, but it felt good. Slowly, I started to rebuild my life. I took up painting, joined a hiking club, and spent more time with Chloe. I even started talking to David, a coworker who had always been kind and supportive. He never pushed me or pressured me, but he was always there to listen. One evening, David and I were working late on a project. We ordered takeout and ate it at our desks, laughing and joking about the ridiculousness of our workload. "You know," David said, leaning back in his chair, "you're really strong, Amelia. I admire that." I blushed, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. "Thanks, David," I said. "That means a lot." He smiled. So he said, hesitating slightly, "Are you seeing anyone?" I shook my head. "Not yet," I said. "I'm not really ready for anything serious, but I'm open to possibilities." He smiled again, his eyes sparkling. "Well," he said, "in that case, maybe we could grab coffee sometime." "Outside of work, I mean." I smiled back. "I'd like that," I said. A few weeks later, I ran into Liam at a coffee shop. It was awkward, to say the least. "Amelia," he said, his voice strained. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry, really sorry. I know I messed up. I hope you can forgive me someday." I looked at him, really looked at him, and I realized that I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt pity. "I forgive you, Liam," I said, my voice calm and steady. "But that doesn't mean we can be together. I've moved on, and you should too." I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there alone. As I walked down the street, I felt a sense of lightness and freedom. I knew that I had a long way to go before I fully healed, but I was finally on the right path. I had learned a valuable lesson about trust, honesty, and the importance of choosing myself. And as I glanced at my phone, seeing a text from David asking if I was free for dinner that night, I couldn't help but smile. Maybe, just maybe, I was ready for a new beginning. It wouldn't be easy, but it would be mine.